He can turn the most unassuming objects into amazing modern designs. Here on Toolin' Around, we've got Ben Uyeda. Ben, thanks so much for being here. How's it going?
Pretty good. Happy to be here.
Glad you're here. So tell us about HomeMade Modern. What is HomeMade Modern?
It's a design studio. We produce a lot of DIY projects for how to build affordable, modern designs out of materials and tools that are readily available.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process? When you're in your loft, you've got your project plan, like from the plan to the build, kind of how you go through all of that.
Well, by plan, you mean the sort of random things floating
right.
around. Yeah. I always just try to build my way through a lot of the designs because I find it's often more fun for me and just to sort of think with my hands. So I'll normally lay out some materials, have a rough idea. Maybe I sketched out one or two things, just scribbled some chicken scratch on my sketchbook. But from there, I just start cutting to pieces, seeing how they go together. I really just treat it like playing with Legos, but this time with like 2x4s, pieces of plywood, stuff like that.
That's awesome. And speaking of Legos, you actually do use Legos in a lot of your builds too.
Yeah, it's a great tool for very quickly like visualizing things. So if I want to mock it up and sort of see how the pieces would go together. The other thing though that I use now is the new Ryobi hot glue gun. Because I can just take a bunch of little scraps of wood, popsicle sticks, old chopsticks, and I can kind of make a little scale model really quick with just hot gluing to pieces. Say, okay, that's how it needs to be, and that way I can sort of see it in a miniature 3D version rather than having to draw it all out perfectly.
Right, definitely pulling that architecture, make the model background.
Very
Very cool.
A little bit of architecture, a little bit of just childhood playing with blocks.
Yeah, gotta keep it simple. I love it. Ben, thank you so much. It's been so cool to hear about your process. And you also mentioned that you do a lot of work with your sister Jessie, and she's here today to talk to us. So guys, stay tuned. We're gonna have Jessie on set with us to talk HomeMade Modern. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today. So
my pleasure.
We played a little bit of 20 questions with your brother Ben here, but tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have no background in design or building. I actually was a librarian for about 11 years, and I worked for 12 years in the service industry. I did work at a lumber mill, though, for 6 months. So,
how would you describe your style?
I think your shoes sum it up the best.
Yeah, so, you know, I have someone who follows me on Instagram. Every time I take a picture of my shoes, he just replies by saying, fashion. I'm taking it as a compliment, and I feel like that's just kind of how I do things. I go with what works for me, what's comfortable, and maybe can be customizable for someone else. But I just like things simple and that are functional.
So speaking of, you know, your styles, the materials and stuff that you use, we actually will be building a project with you guys today. What are we going to be building?
We're going to be making a bookshelf, and it's a really cool project because it combines two basic skill sets. A little bit of metalworking, a little bit of woodworking, and the outcome is pretty cool.
And we'll move on to the project soon. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. Stay tuned as we build a HomeMade Modern bookshelf with Jessie and Ben. Hey guys, welcome back. Ben, Jessie, thank you so much for joining us on this project. So you mentioned a bookshelf, which I see back here. What can you tell us about it?
It's a great DIY project. It combines very basic metalworking with a little bit of woodworking to get an outcome that's easy, but looks a little bit more unusual than your typical DIY.
Right, okay, cool. And Jessie, you'll be cutting the metal?
I'll be using this jigsaw here with a metal cutting blade.
All right, let's check it out. So now this is the flip where we'll cut the other side.
Right, we'll just flip it right over and then reclamp it down.
right, so now that we've made the cuts, what's coming up next?
Well, we're going to take our shelves. Now these shelves we made from 2x10s.
Okay.
We cut them to length using the circular saw. We also cut some short pieces of 2x4 that we screwed through the top of the 2x10s and into the 2x4s.
Okay.
This just gives us a little more meat to sort of screw into that makes the whole shelf more stable.
Right.
Now what you'll also notice is that we cut these slots into the 2x10, and this is to accept the flanges of the angle irons.
Okay.
And we did that using a couple passes with the circular saw. The blade's a little thinner than what we need for
Yeah,
this.
so it will fit that
Right.
angle iron.
And then we used the jigsaw to clean out the little bit of the excess material that was stuck in there.
Okay, yeah,
Cool, so now we're ready to put on the legs.
great.
So we're gonna take the pieces of angle iron that we already cut,
Okay.
and we're just gonna go around the perimeter and screw them in one at a time.
Okay,
And you'll notice that we pre-drilled the holes, both through the metal and through the wood.
okay,
That'll just make it a little bit easier to assemble.
right. Easy to line them up, kind of makes the process all a
Exactly.
little bit faster.
So we'll just put this into place.
And is there a specific reason you're using that type of screw?
Good question. So these screws right here, they have a flat bottom.
Okay,
Now we could get a little more fancy and take an extra step and countersink the holes into here and use an angled screw, but this is a little bit quicker and easier.
right. I like the look of them too. Gives it that rustic look.
Yeah, that's sort of nice industrial flair. So first one's in, and we're just going to keep going around.
Great.
Oop. Flipped it upside down. There we go. Jessie, your turn. Now from here, we can just keep adding in additional shelves.
Okay.
And what's really cool about this project is that we could have used longer angle irons, shorter angle irons, longer boards.
Right.
So we can really make this shelving system adjustable and make it to fit any space in our house.
Right. Well, this is awesome, you guys. Thank you so much for showing us this. Guys, if you want to check out plans to build this shelf yourself, go to Ryobi Nation. And also, if you want to check out any more plans from Ben and Jessie, make sure to check out HomeMade Modern. Thanks for tuning in. This has been another edition of Toolin' Around.